I'm here.
Hi, Joy.
I'm here too.
Hey, Steven. We'll just wait until we have a quorum. We're one away. DC, do you want to pull up the budget and share your screen?
You want me
Or
to
I
share
can-
the document?
Yeah.
Jennifer
Yeah.
is having a meltdown, so
Well, because this print's too small for me to see it on the screen. She's having a, can you mute your? Okay, go ahead.
I am happy to pull it up. One sec.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Oh, you got it. Good.
Uh-oh. Now some of the numbers are bigger than the cell. So it's just got
I'm sharing now, right?
Yeah, you're sharing now, CC. I see your screen. I don't know when Carson is going to get here, but we have a quorum. And in the absence of the chair and vice chair, we can elect a chair pro tempore to preside over the meeting in their absence. I assume Carson will get here soon, but we could get started faster if we just do that.
I nominate you, Amon.
second. Mr. Chair,
Yep.
can we?
Well, I'm not Mr. Chair yet,
Okay.
but
Well, not Veronica, Lord. Cece, can you widen the cells where the number sign is in the place of the numbers so we can see the numbers? You see, in column G, H, and I. Can you widen those columns so we can see them?
all right. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
There's
Thank
been a
you.
motion to appoint a chair pro tempore since our chair and vice chair are not here. Steven or Clark nominated me. Somebody seconded it.
Joy.
A quick vote. All in favor of having me chair the meeting until Carson gets here?
Aye.
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 All right. All opposed? All right. I will now call this meeting to order. It is 6:35 p.m. I'm going to take a quick roll call. When I call your name, please say present if you are present. Commissioner Pinckney,
Present.
Commissioner Abell,
Present.
Commissioner Lucarelli is not present. Commissioner Corniatis,
Present.
Commissioner Morensek,
Present.
Commissioner George is present. Commissioner Weigel,
Present.
and Commissioner Parati. Present. All right. We have a quorum. Next up is approval of the agenda, which consists of one item. It's a new business item that is a draft budget. I move to approve the agenda.
Second, Joy.
All right, any opposed?
No.
All right. Great. All right, for the new business, we have our draft budget. Cece, thank you for pulling it up on the screen. Do you want to walk us through
Yes.
quickly the draft budget? And I see that you have a tab on our actual expenses there too. That's great.
Yes. So the way I drafted the budget is largely based on how we've drafted the budget in prior years. But basically, I've forwarded the amount in our account currently based on the allocations that we've received from the Office of ANC, as well as any expenses, including the one grant that we issued for Petworth Peanuts for the Spooktacular. So in keeping that in mind, our balance is $18,383. If you spread that across the 4 quarters, it's about $4,600. And then on an annual basis, we expect to receive around $21,190 from the Office of ANC. But as we all know, in certain cases, the Office of ANC may penalize us for certain reasons in accordance to the statute. So this is the number that that we're supposed to receive, but in certain cases, we're penalized depending on certain statutes. In any case, the total funds available for the upcoming fiscal year are approximately $40,000. If you spread that across the 4 quarters, it's about $9,900. And then I've broken it down into categories in terms of potentially, if we decide or the commission decides to hire an intern or certain administrative duties, I've allocated $1,000 for that across the 4 quarters. Direct office cost is $0. Communication in accordance to our chairperson's suggestion has been decreased to $2,000 a quarter as opposed to $3,000 a quarter. And that extra $1,000 I've allocated to grants. So the total of grants is $20,000 for the year next year. Purchase of service, I have for $500, but again, we can modify that accordingly. Sorry, Jennifer, just knocked something across. So in any case, I've left a total of $8,754 in terms of which can be reallocated across whether it's grants or communications, etc. And so basically, if you subtract the total of $39,574 from the draft allocations of $30,820, we're left with a total of $8,754 to, in our account.
Great. I'm raising my hand. I'm gonna call
In
myself.
terms of,
Oh,
just
yeah.
before we move on, in terms of allocations or expenses to date, I've shut off my keyboard, that's why she's not being effective. But in any case, in terms of expenses to date, our first expense last year towards the end was, the reimbursement for website platform and Zoom. That was the expenses for the following 3 expenses in April and 2 in May. Then in July, we paid for the translation services that we arranged when we were going through our ad hearings earlier this year. Then I had to reissue our security fund payment in October. I've drafted the grant check for Petworth Peanuts in October, and the plan is to issue the Petworth Blooms grant check in early November. And so that's a total of $8,574.62.
Great. Okay, I had a couple of questions, CC, if you wouldn't mind. So yeah, on the budget tab, one thing I caught, if you look at cell H19, I think that should be 4,000, not 1,000. Although, because we have budgeted $1,000 for each quarter, it looks like it should be budgeted $4,000 for the year.
Oh,
That is a
okay.
thing that in actuality we have spent nothing on. So I don't, we can talk about whether it makes sense to budget $1,000 a quarter for personnel, but just to make sure that the spreadsheet adds up. And it looks like, aside from grants, the thing that we've spent the most money on is communication, and even that is about $3,000 for the year. And I think we should expect that to come down to almost zero for next year's budget, because OANC is going to be providing both a Zoom login and the website and a website platform. And I think those will be at zero cost to the ANC. So fortunately, that's another place that we could probably free up money, although again, I don't know whether it makes sense to change that in the budget now or keep the money reserved for communication purposes. And then the last question I had was, as it stands right now, it looks like we're budgeting more outlays than the total receipts that we would expect from OANC. And I wonder if that's something that we shouldn't do, given that, like, I understand we'll have the next ANC will have a lot of rollover, but that's not like a sustainable way to budget, right? To have more outlays than you bring in.
Can you rephrase a little bit? Because basically, we received the majority of our, stop it, Jennifer. We received the majority of our allocations, like, over the past few weeks or so. So what we were saying, basically.
My point is just for the year, we budget 21,190 in receipts, but 30,820 in disbursements. So like we're budgeting to disperse $9,000 more than we will expect to bring in next year. That works okay because we're rolling over $18,000. But I just have a question of whether the budget should be altered so that, like, the steady state budget isn't to disperse more than we would actually expect to bring in every year. Commissioner Pinckney, sorry.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Nobody's talking to me?
You have the floor.
Hello, go ahead.
Thank you very, very much. Okay. I agree with Amon. Our budget should not have an expenditure that takes us into the negative. That's not good budgetary practice. So we're gonna have to do a budget that drills down at $9,000 somewhere, or the 8,000, well, it's almost 9,000 somewhere in order for it to balance. The second thing, the question I have for our treasurer, the extra $1,000 for grants, where did that come from? Hello, Cece?
Give
Okay.
Cece a moment.
You dealing with baby? Yeah.
Basically, I took away $1,000. Stop. I took away $1,000 from the communication budget and reallocated it to the grants.
Why?
Because that was a suggestion from the chair that I agreed with.
Okay, so that's 4,000 that we can just take off. So that leaves us with 5,000 to shear off so that our budget is, listed, I guess, as solvent, like a budget that's minus anything. Also, I had the pleasure of speaking with the director of the ANC office today. This mainly pertains to the grants, because I was a little disturbed at the response I got last week, so I needed to understand. Number one, he confirmed that when the OANC returns the grant to us, or confirms that they received it and return it, it is not an approval of the grant, because they do not have the power to approve the grant. The only thing it does, it says that it's in line with the directions, in terms of the money allocation. It wouldn't end up on their desk and then we have to get the money back. That's it for that. Number two, the difference between moving someone from having to get a grant from us versus it being in a line item, that would put that expenditure into our regular budget. It cannot be allocated or given to any business out of the grants pool anymore. So the question is, do we really want to do that? Secondly, if any money that we take out of our treasury has to benefit the entire 4D. Now, it doesn't mean it has to cover it equally every year. There may be times when we want beautification to be here or there or the other place. It's not like that. But if he is moved to being covered under our general budget, then it has to cover areas that include everyone else's SMD. Okay, and I know it was spoken about putting him and his service in our regular budget. But after last week, it was clear that he was not amenable to serving or doing this activity for any other area than the one he has been asking for grants for. So I would recommend that he continue to put in an application for grants as he's been, and let whatever commission is here vote on it and decide. He is
Well, that's
also
right.
he is also
Sorry.
he is also going to work to see if we can get a workable list of nonprofits that are in our area. If any of you or if any of us have a list or know of nonprofits that are doing good work and could benefit from a grant, then it would be good for us to compile a list. So when it comes down to it, we can invite others to participate. And yes, if we know of other organizations that do the same work, then of course we can spread it around. So that's my position on that. I don't know that we give enough money away every year to justify increasing for the grants. But right now, I think that gives us opportunity to address what Amon just brought up. So if we just eliminate the $1,000 period in that line item, then that's fine, and it doesn't hold the next commission hostage. And if there's someplace else in here where we can delete some other funds to bring us to zero, I'm in favor of it. The communication, I think $2,000 is appropriate. I don't think diminishing it would be fair to the commission that's coming in, because we haven't used it, but $2,000 is not much for dispersing newsletters or paying for some of the services that we get. And after looking at, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Petty cash. I think that was it. I can't scroll. So that's my comments, and I will defer back to the treasurer.
Cece, do you want to respond to that, or can I ask, or do you want to hear from Clark first?
No, I don't want to respond to that. No.
Clark?
Thanks. Let me take my hand down. One thing I would say about the Petworth Bloom situation, and especially like the lack of there being Petworth Bloom support further north throughout our ANC. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, that's not in the draft budget right now, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about.
He gets a lot of competing support from 4C, so of course a lot of his work is going to be to the southern end of our ANC. Like, we just haven't given him enough support. That's why I was looking to include it as a recurring budget line. And if we don't do that kind of, if we're not ready to prepare that kind of level of support, we shouldn't give him that hard of a time when he comes to our meetings. And he's the only person that does this kind of service in our neighborhood. I just think we need to be more open to that kind of stuff and not grill people when they come with positive intentions.
Right, and you're absolutely.
I've had a long day of teaching middle schoolers, but sorry if I'm coming a little hard about this, but we really need to be like more supportive and spend all of this money that we got coming in a more like egalitarian fashion.
Well, I was supportive, I was for it, but what he was presenting was counter what he had promised in the full meeting. So we can talk about the rest of this offline and move forward with dealing with the budget.
No, we're gonna watch this week. But we tomorrow, do you want to speak to school with me?
Anybody else? Otherwise, I can say a couple of things. One thing Joy mentioned that we wouldn't want to hold a future ANC hostage to our budget. I think budgeting to allow them a lot of flexibility to spend money isn't holding them hostage. They don't have to spend a maximum of $5,000, but if we budget for it, then they have the flexibility to do it if the money is there, and if they end up having $5,000 of worthy grants to disperse, they have the choice to do that. I think
you're right.
I think setting the grant number low would be more like holding them hostage, because then they would need to kind of rewrite their budget in order to disperse money if they wanted to exceed that number. So
yeah,
and the other thing is
they can rewrite it when they come on board in January anyway, so it's okay.
And the other thing is, you know, when I said I wanted to talk about total disbursements exceeding total receipts, I really didn't mean to say that it had to zero out. Like, it could make sense to just assume that, you know, next year's ANC will have additional financial flexibility with the next budget, because we happen to be passing more money along. And, you know, in a subsequent year, they could kind of alter their number, adjust their numbers to meet whatever their financial situation is.
But you can't
subsequent year.
budget, you cannot budget money that you do not see coming in or that you don't know. You cannot budget what's
That's
not
not,
in.
that-
So
that's
this
not what's happening,
budget-
Joy.
This budget is insolvent.
No, it's not. Commissioner
Okay.
Pinckney, we have $21,000 coming in, plus we expect to roll over an additional 18,000, which is why we have more money than just the total receipts to budget for. It's not an insolvent budget, as the kind of ending balance shows, as drafted, there's like $8,000 of wiggle room, although there's less than that because of the error in the personnel costs. But Cece, could you update will everything flow through if you change personnel cost to 4,000 instead of 1,000? And then we can see it's more like $5,700 of wiggle room rather than $8,700.
Yeah, or maybe at the bottom when looking at it, because I'm saying when I look at it, it appears total disbursements minus 30,000 some odd dollars. So down there, then there should be another table that says total disbursements, total carryover, you know, so all of that would then to the eye add up to.
It adds up.
That there,
The
but I'm telling you, because when looking at it, it's not laid out. Okay, now you might know budgets, but in order for our community to look at our budget, at the end it says minus. So all she has to do is another table, okay, that says.
Commissioner Pickey, that table is above the table.
Can I finish?
That
I'll
table
be
is
right
above the
back,
table you're
okay? I
looking
have
at.
to step
30
away. I'm sorry.
You understand what I'm saying? So that nobody has to go in asking that question. Because
I-
right now it looks like the disbursements.
I think it's just because of where it's scrolled in the screen, Commissioner Pickney. But if CC scrolled up, you would see that the first table is a table of incoming money, which ends at that total funds available that says $39,574. And then the next table is disbursements, and I think it is laid out in a rational way.
Sir, two people. This is for a community, a layman, and the bottom line to the budget should show that we're going to have. So the 8,000 some odd dollars is the ending balance. Okay. Okay.
Commissioner
right.
Lucarelli.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. I was coming in from work in Virginia, and so I apologize for being late. Thank you, Cece, for putting this together. Clearly, you have your hands full tonight, literally. And I also want to acknowledge the gentlelady, Commissioner Pinckney's comments, because that's what I'm going to dovetail off of. Either Mr. Treasurer or gentlelady, could either the treasurer or the secretary speak to the following question? How does this budget compare to what we came into as commissioners, the majority of us in, and obviously no, you know, I'm not throwing shade on Commissioner Bell who joined later for obvious reasons, but how does this budget compare to where we came in January of 2022? Is it any different? Is it any worse? Is it better?
would
If someone could just
say-
speak to that, and I
Yes,
apologize if that
speak
was,
to that.
I apologize if
I
that was
can
brought up
speak to
earlier.
that. Oh, sorry. Is that your only question?
Yeah, Cece, yes, yeah, that's my only question. How does this
No.
compare to what we came into in January? Does it put them in a worse position, a better position, or are they at, you know, an even playing field? That's really all I got.
I would say, based on where we were left with, in the sense that the prior commission had issued, close to 20,000 or so in grants. So I believe when we came into our roles, we had about $8,600 in our account. So I would argue at this point, based on the allocations and the fact that, we've issued 2 grants this year specifically, that we leave the following commission in a better situation.
Okay, and just to clarify again, this also was not an attempt to throw shade on the previous commission. I just want to clarify for the audience and the people who come and listen to this afterward, to just clarify that we're not putting anyone in a pickle, so to speak. I just want to clarify that we're not in, from a fiduciary standpoint, we're not worse off or better off than where we were more or less 2 years ago. And so if your response answered that, then I'm fine with that. I kind of just want to hear it for my own benefit, and also, again, for the folks that are listening now and who may tune in later to hear the recording. That's all.
Commissioner Bell?
Thank you. I wanted to say we should follow some rules of order in how we amend this. This budget is now proposed by the treasurer and is now before us. So in keeping with that, I would like to make a motion, which has already been done in the document, to change the $1,000 on the column H19 to $4,000, and for us to vote on that. And then I want to encourage commissioners to make motions to make changes. And when we exhaust all motions, that we approve the budget and we go in that form. And that I think it was good and useful to have open discussion for a while, but it would be better for us moving forward that we only have discussion when there is a motion to amend on the floor. So yeah, I think it would be much more much more useful to go that way. I hope you're able to hear me. I'm outside, so I apologize. But my motion right now is to amend the $1,000 in error in H19 to $4,000. If somebody could second that, I would appreciate it.
You don't need to do that.
Second. I wasn't sure if we needed a motion on that one, because I think it was just a
No.
typo rather than a
Right.
intentional change to the budget.
We don't need to.
Got it. Okay. And so my supposition is that Chair Parati is not here. And so if that's the case, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Treasurer, do we need to do a roll call, or are we doing this at the end? What's the desire here?
When you say Mr. do you mean Ms.?
Sorry, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, thank you.
I take Commissioner Bell's point that having a proposed budget and then going through proposed changes with votes makes sense procedurally. Just for the 4,000 specifically, I believe it was just a typo that like the cell was not properly coded to add. And I think it's okay for the treasurer to fix that without a vote. Are you comfortable with that, Commissioner Bell?
Yeah, we can take that as just unanimous consent. Yeah.
Well, I believe that it was good to have people to talk about it, because we had not had an opportunity via an executive committee. And
Sure.
we, I think, went around the table and had the questions, which was necessary. So we don't have to go line by line. We can just say, we're done. They answered my question. And I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to ask them. Okay, so.
I appreciate that. So I think given that and given Commissioner Bell's point, maybe it makes sense to just open the floor and see if anybody has proposed amendments to the budget as we see it on the screen that they would like to propose. Seeing no motions going once, going twice. Okay, then I will move that we approve the budget as drafted here.
Second,
Commissioner Marancic, second.
Sorry, I have unreadiness, sorry. At the top, the math. At the very top, this district allotment, it says 21,190, but at the bottom it has 21,190.25. So which is it?
Commissioner
Or is
Cordianis,
all
are
Where
you
are
able
you
to?
seeing this? Where are you?
At the very top,
Yes,
under records, the first line, district allotment.
yes.
At the top, you have 21,190.
Yeah.
At the bottom, year to date, it says 21,190.25. You can scroll all the way down. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other way.
I see it. It's in cell, if you
But
look at
there's
cell
something
cell
else.
C9, Commissioner
Scroll
Cornell.
down some more so I can see the other one. The same thing, no, the other way, so I can see the top. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing is in Q4 for 5297.57.
So
So
Commissioner Corniatis, I think that column C doesn't have the 2 decimal places showing right now.
Okay.
It's just showing rounded to the dollar.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I think
actually it's all of them.
It's
So-
everything in column C.
No, it's everything, all of them, each column have rounded
Oh, I see.
the cents
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
but it hasn't been rounded up or down. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Commissioner Corniatis, can you move the decimal points out so that it shows to the cent? For the whole spreadsheet. Yeah, so if you select all the cells,
Yeah,
and then if you go up to the number, like above in the, yeah, right where you are,
No,
right where you are, the blue arrow to the left.
yeah.
Yeah, click that. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, I'm just like dealing with some stuff right now, so I apologize.
Commissioner Pinckney, does that solve that problem? I think you're on mute.
okay, she changed all of the numbers, so I hope so. Because I don't see any, oh, okay.
Excel was hiding the cents on some of the cells, so she just adjusted it so that the cents are visible throughout the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a setting on Excel, Commissioner Pinckney, so
Oh,
at your
oh,
suggestion,
oh,
we've
yeah.
changed it. So at your suggestion, we've changed it to show the decimal point. So does this look all right to you?
Yeah, I got confused because earlier
That's all right.
it just put dollar signs in
Yeah.
where things were missing. Okay, all right.
okay, so I renew my second to the motion to vote on the thing. Can we please do this?
What was that?
There has been a motion and a
That's
second.
Commissioner Marancic. Yes.
Okay, when I call your name,
Oh,
please indicate whether you vote to approve the budget as drafted. Commissioner Pinckney,
Aye.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Lucarelli,
Also an aye, but someone needs to mute their mic because the background noise is outrageous.
Commissioner Corniatis,
Aye.
Commissioner Morensik,
Aye.
Commissioner Weigel.
I'm an aye.
All right, that budget is approved. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Lucarelli.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed,
Aye.
say nay. All right, thank you all. Really appreciate us all being able to find the time to get together on short notice to get this done before the end of the month. Thank you all so much, and we will chat during our executive meeting again next week.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
night.
Have a good night. Take care.